Tonight on The Cycle, LeBron James reacts to racist vandalism at his home, NASA sets its sights on the sun, and we get down to the truth of the Paris Climate Agreement. All that and more coming to you live right now.
This is The Cycle. I'm Jacques Slade.
And I'm Aaliyah Jasmine. Let's run down the biggest headlines. It's in case you missed it.
It's the question on everyone's minds: how to pronounce the nonsense word President Trump tweeted out last night.
Okay, so one Associated Press writer gave us a pronunciation guide, Kavfefe, but I'm still on team Kafifi.
See, I was thinking Kafife. We really are a divided America. Here's what Sean Spicer had to say.
Why did it stay up so long? Is no one watching this?
No, I think the president and a small group of people know exactly what he meant. Blake.
I wonder how you get into that small group of people. Like, how high up do you have to be on the Kofifi clearance to get in there?
Exactly. I don't know. Fired FBI Director James Comey is reportedly ready to testify in a public hearing that Trump tried to pressure him into not doing his job.
You might remember that Trump allegedly asked Comey to stop investigating Michael Flynn, but Comey don't play that.
Yeah. Next up, Hillary Clinton gave an outspoken interview at a tech conference. She's saying she was the victim of the assumption she was going to win the election.
Yep, so were we all. But we really encourage you to listen to the whole conversation about how technology did and continues to be used as a weapon to impact politics. We'll put a link in the comments below. And I was also dying at the part where she talked about being at Trump's third wedding and having to sit behind Shaq.
Yeah, sitting behind Shaq, that's horrible. That's the worst seats in the house. All right, finally, today LeBron James spoke out after someone spray painted a racial slur on the gate of his Los Angeles home. Take a listen.
So it's like it doesn't, no matter how much money you have, no matter how famous you are, no matter how many people admire you, being black in America it's tough. And we got a long way to go.
King James begins his 7th straight NBA Finals campaign tomorrow night. Can't wait.
Oh, I cannot
wait.
And that's in case you missed it.
Okay, now we count down the headlines that didn't get the the coverage they probably deserve. It's below the fold.
A suicide bomb in a sewage truck killed at least 80 people and wounded more than 300 others in Kabul, Afghanistan today.
The explosion happened at rush hour in what many consider to be the city's safest neighborhood.
Yeah, the attack comes as the Trump administration considers sending thousands more American troops to Afghanistan to break the ongoing stalemate.
All right, our next story is a more hopeful one. A federal appeals court ruled that a transgender teenager in Wisconsin has the right to use the bathroom of his choosing.
Yeah. The 7th Circuit Court found that Ashton Whitaker created no risk to the safety or privacy of fellow students by using the boys' bathroom.
This decision could be a major step towards getting trans rights in front of the Supreme Court. A similar case was on its way to the court earlier this year before it was vacated by a rule change from the Trump administration.
And finally, NASA announced they plan to send a probe to touch the sun next year. Scientists hope that the data will help solve some ongoing mysteries about the sun. #aliens.
Yeah, like how does the sun create winds that travel at supersonic speeds? Why is its atmosphere 300 times hotter than its surface? And why does a Teletubby sun baby never age?
#aliens.
And
that's below the fold.
All right, so now for a story that was TLDR, or too long didn't read. So maybe you saw these headlines about a Supreme Court ruling concerning printer ink.
I know, it sounds boring, your printer in the United States government. We're talking about something that's always jammed and broken when you need it, and your printer. But it's actually big news for consumers.
Okay, so Lexmark, a printer maker, sued another company that refurbishes and resells Lexmark ink cartridges. You know, because printer ink is the most expensive liquid on earth, right after Chanel No. 5 and O negative blood.
That's like 90% true. It's really expensive. Anyways, so Lexmark had a patent on those cartridges. They even installed a special microchip in the cartridges that was supposed to prevent you and I from refilling them, which has to be the lamest use of a microchip ever. I'm sorry, James Bond.
Apologies.
But the Supreme Court ruled against Lexmark, saying that their patent is exhausted the moment they sell the ink cartridges for the first time.
Yeah, so what does this all mean for you? Well, after you buy something, an ink cartridge, a phone, a car, you're free to do whatever you want with it. Modify it, destroy it, resell it, remove its secret microchip, turn it into a time machine, whatever. And you cannot be sued by the patent holder. This is known as the right to tinker.
But there are some potential downsides. Companies might make it harder to modify their products and then pass the added costs on to you. Or what if you're in the hospital and now it's cheaper and legal for them to reuse a catheter than to buy a new one? It's kind of gross.
So gross. But it's a big win if you like to tinker with or resell your stuff. It also means that there will be more used products on the market, which will keep prices down across the board.
Seriously though, what is inside of printer ink? It's like the most expensive thing. It's more expensive than that exploding green stuff from Game of Thrones.
Wildfire?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
pretty expensive. And that's TLDR.
All right, moving on. You've seen a million headlines today. President Trump is on the brink of pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement. But what exactly is this agreement? What are the consequences of pulling out or not, or staying? And that brings us to the left, the right, and the truth.
Okay, so right off the top, let me say that we will not give any weight to the far right argument that climate change isn't real. It is. If that makes you mad, we're surprised you made it this far into the show.
All right, so we'll start with the left side of the argument, which is simple and well known. Given the potentially catastrophic impacts of rising sea levels, droughts, and intense storms heading our way as climate change gets worse, we as a human race have a duty to do everything we can to stop the damage from happening.
Right.
That argument, brought on by the Paris Accord last year, and nearly every country in the world signed it.
Like, even Russia signed it. How are they going to hack elections if the polar ice caps melt all over their computers?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Yeah. Even North Korea is in. Like, if the oceans dry up, where are they going to launch their rockets?
Serious problems.
Yeah. The Paris Agreement is a statement of purpose by the world. We will fight climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
Now, the right side of the argument. The right has a rational argument that is less well known, mostly because climate change deniers drown it out. You know, that one guy on your Facebook who's like, if the globe is warming, why is it still snowing in July?
Well, Brian, it's probably because you live in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah. Okay, so the first most simple case against the agreement is that it doesn't necessarily dictate what countries will do. That's why Nicaragua didn't sign it. There's no real punishment for nations that come up short of the emissions goals. And there's also nothing to stop the U.S. from meeting the goals, even if we're not part of the pact.
A conservative might also say the agreement hurts the free market.
Right.
Would we see a future where consumers didn't have choice? Would everyone on the freeways be that Prius driver who only goes 38 in the fast lane? Would we all want to be that annoying neighbor with solar panels? Wait, I have solar panels and a hybrid.
Yeah, we know, Jacques. Finally, there's the right-wing perspective that overregulation hurts businesses and puts people out of work, particularly in the Rust Belt states that voted for Trump. What's good for businesses is good for the economy. So what's the truth?
The truth is climate change is real, and whatever concerns there are about the hit that lowering emissions will put on American companies, they don't really come close to the long-term effects of increasing global temperatures.
We also know that existing high pollution energy sources are going to decline. A century from now, the coal industry may be gone entirely. Oil will continue to become scarcer and more expensive, and there is nothing that we can do about that.
What we can do is compel our industries to innovate new, clean energy sources. They're going to have to. And while the Paris Agreement may not be the only path to getting there, it's the best plan we've got so far.
And it's economically reckless for the United States to fall behind other countries in these emerging industries. Historically, we always led innovation. That's what made us powerful. So why stop now? That is the left, the right, and the truth.
And finally today, we end with a question I never thought I'd have to ask.
Ask it. Oh, ask it.
Is this a picture of Walt Whitman's penis or no?
You're right. I literally had never considered I'd ever have to ask that question or hear you ask that question.
Well, one writer at Broadly tried to determine whether this nude photo taken in the 1880s features one of America's most beloved poets and his dangling participle?
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Put a leaf of grass over that thing.
All right. Some of the evidence does add up. Whitman wrote a number of poems about his love for nudity, and he knew the photographer personally.
Sadly, though, even after consulting with some Whitman experts, the writer could not definitively confirm that the photos really depict Whitman and his Oxford comma.
What do you guys think? Is it real? Is Uncle Walt's body electric giving you a transcendental movement? Let us know in the comments below.
And that's The Cycle. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like us and follow us at The Cycle Live.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Captain, my
Make
captain.
sure to follow us at The Cycle Live on Twitter and Instagram.
And like, share, subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook, all that good stuff at The Cycle Live.